Okay guys, so before we get started, since I finally saw Aquaman the other day, I am now just going to rank all 9 superhero movies we got this year. I'm just going to go through them all very quickly and give a one-word sentence for each. A bunch of these I actually talked about in other videos this year, so a bunch of you probably already know my thoughts going into this list, but let's see where they all rank with each other. First up, number 9, Venom. I thought this movie was fucking shit. 8. Teen Titans Go to the Movies. I thought this film was about as loud and obnoxious as everything else Teen Titans Go to does. Number 7. Deadpool 2. I thought the meta humor in this movie was better than in the first Deadpool, but as a whole, I felt like everything else was a bit of a step down from the last one. So, yeah. Number 6, Incredibles 2. I think this movie fosters some amazing animation, some much more inventive use of the superpowers, and I think it actually utilizes the family a lot better than the last movie did. The fact that a baby fighting a raccoon is in the conversation for best animated scenes of the year, I think is a real testament to how well this movie is made. Unfortunately, I had 2 big problems with it, and I kind of can't ignore them, and that is, 1, I found the villain really weak, and their plan was kind of a little too much for me to buy for this kind of movie, and also I felt like the third act and the final battle in particular was pretty lackluster and really could have been redone. But other than that, still a fun flick. Number 5, Aquaman. I think this movie is a lot of fun. I think Jason Momoa is way more charming and likable and way more sells this movie than I ever thought he logically could. He is fantastic in this. Amber Heard as Mira is really likable, and the two actually have some pretty good chemistry. Patrick Wilson is a really fun, over-the-top villain. The guy who plays Black Manta is also very good. Action's really awesome. Unfortunately, though, a lot of the problems people are having with this movie, I completely 100% agree with. I think the pacing is a little wonky at points. The plot feels so overly dense and very all over the place. And also, and this might just be me saying this one, I really didn't like the score to this movie. I know that seems like a weird thing to say, but the music to me felt like it was all over the place. There was no real consistency to it, and it wasn't even that good when it was consistent. I know that seems like a big set of problems, but it's still a really fun flick. It definitely deserves to be the direction DC is probably going to go in. Number 4, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think this film is awesome. Once it starts, it never stops. A lot of the humor is insane. The Luis stuff with the truth serum I think was the hardest I laughed at a movie in a long time, and I really appreciate the concept of a movie that just has no stopping, is always at a breakneck pace, and you can always follow it, and you always find the characters relatable and understandable. Everyone stop being mean to this movie. Number 3, Black Panther. I'm a huge Black Panther fan in general, so I really gave in and just kind of went along with the hype for this movie. As far as I'm concerned, it didn't disappoint. Characters are likable, story's great, action is awesome. Yeah, maybe a couple flaws here and there, but it really felt like there was a lot of passion behind this movie and a lot of love behind this movie. Number 2, Avengers Infinity War, the most depressing movie I've seen in a long time. The fact that this movie is good at all, with how many different characters it has to juggle and plot lines and plot points, I think is really a testament to just how well the movie is made and how well these actors are and how enjoyable they are. Thanos was the last character I thought this year would become so popular and so famous, and to the point where if I can even show my mom a dusting meme, someone turning into dust, and she gets what I'm talking about. Number 1, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This movie hasn't made enough money. Everyone go see this movie right now. It's freaking amazing. It's the best Spider-Man movie. It might very well be the best superhero movie ever. So go see it right now. Make this thing $1 billion so I never have to see a Venom sequel ever again. Okay, so now that we did that, let's talk about this week's Yugioh Vrains episode. So this week in Yu-Gi-Oh, they kind of did something that really shouldn't work. Shut up, phone. We should really be sitting here rolling our eyes, annoyed they did this, feeling like we wasted our time. And that is from the minute this episode began, they basically told you Haru was losing. They pretty much set up there was no way he could lose. They pretty much made it Aoi had to win. There's a few reasons for this. First and foremost, there was no way they were making the same mistake they did with her facing Spectre last season, where pretty much she just gets destroyed by hentai tentacles. We can't have that happen again. But also, just like nothing about this duel made it feel like Haru could live. First up, Haru's last words to Bowman's are him snapping at him. That's always good bait for when a character should die. But on top of that, he used Bowman's deck, and Aoi was debuting a new deck. So therefore, there is no logical reason to believe that he should win this duel. He's gonna lose, he's cannon fodder, he's out of here. Damn it. And that shouldn't have worked. We all should have been like, no shit, but they made it work. Like, this really is proof that there is still great writing going on at Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just really being put on the back burner. Everything about this I felt like really came together, and it was so ballsy too. Like, you gotta trust the audience with a lot for this to work, and they just went along with it. And that is that the show is flat out telling you Haru's not important. He is not relevant. He does not matter. He's not even important from a bare bones marketing perspective. Yeah, we don't care about giving him interesting cards. We want him to be cannon fodder for new shit we want you to buy. He ain't important. And that's really interesting because his whole thing this episode is wanting to believe he is important. He wants to believe he can beat Aoi. He wants to believe he's not just a failed experiment, that he's something more than Lightning has for him, that he can be better than Aoi, that the things he went through makes him stronger. These are almost things you could almost give to a main character of a show. The idea of wanting to prove yourself, to wanting to be something. These are things that a character is supposed to have. So when it's given to someone who just the whole universe he's in is designed to tell him fuck off, it's heartbreaking. It's really sad when you see him go through all this in this duel. Like, he really tries and he really wants to believe he can make something of himself, and he can't. Like, as much as he wants to believe he's more than just data, he is just data. Not only that, he's just data to everything. Like, even to us, the audience. And then the show goes and, like, in that last few seconds, tries to make you feel sorry for him. And god damn it, it works. Like, the music, the way he's going. You feel the tragedy of this kid who never got to live a life. But is he even really a kid? He is just a computer program. But that's not what matters here. A big aspect of this show is the concept of how you choose to make your life and how you choose to live your life. This is someone who never even got a choice. He was created for one purpose, and then that purpose was gotten rid of. So his creator basically said, I just want you to stall for a few minutes. I don't care if you come back. I don't care what happens to you. And guess what? No one else does. Except Bowman. Bowman, throughout the whole thing, never stopped wanting to believe Haru was family. He saw something greater in Haru than anyone else did. And in a lot of ways, Bowman is reaching the point where he sees something greater than, say, his adversaries. You could never really see Yusaku being like this. And to a certain extent, even the other characters probably would just go along with what their creator told them. But Bowman has gone beyond just being a henchman. He's beyond a program. He felt love. He felt companionship. He felt like he had somebody. And that someone was taken away from him in just this really quick, unceremonious manner. Like, it actually is a very effectively emotional bit. And even at the end there, when, like, Aoi beats him, the look on her face, she didn't want to do this. Just the look she's got, she didn't want to face this kid. She didn't want to hurt this kid. She didn't want this kid to die. But what other choice does she have? What other choice does anyone in this situation have? The whole show has been building to this aspect of moral ambiguity, but in my opinion, it's kind of failed because there is a fear to go into that darker territory because you'll be put in situations where your audience might disagree with what's happening, and there's always that worry from a studio perspective and a marketing perspective that if the audience is distressed and if they don't necessarily agree with everything that a character is doing, they'll leave. But this episode proves that there is a desire to make things work. Now, unfortunately, it can only work with side characters like Aoi, who ultimately it doesn't super matter if she's marketable or not. But they did something really interesting here, and god damn it, I loved it. I really liked what they did here. I'm not saying tried to do, appreciated what was being attempted to do. No, they succeeded. I cared for that kid in his last couple seconds of life. Again, I've said this with Earth. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyone can come back at the end, but I thought this was great. This was a really fantastic, simple, but ballsy idea for how to give Haru some relevance and to make Bowman feel more human. Like, I'm really fascinated to see what they'll do with this whole thing. And next week we get to see Spectre versus Lightning, and hopefully this trend of good writing will continue for a little bit. But what did you think about it? In the comment section below, give me your thoughts on this episode, your thoughts on 2018 superhero movies, and for the TCG question of the week, Sisters of the Rose is out. 5 new decks from 5 of Yu-Gi-Oh's most iconic waifus. Which one did you pick up, or which one would you be most interested in playing? Personally, I have a lot of fun with rank 10 trains, even though it's not really a deck I have a lot of investment in. It's still a fun build, but what do you think about that in the below? And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me next week where hopefully the good trend can continue.